Good day to you, partner. I'm Eve, and I can already tell that I'll be your best friend in this forsaken camp.
Hey guys, Wheat Solo here, aka the Skeleton King. This is my clear video of Poison, and I'm going to briefly talk about its place in the meta and, how I rate it and do I think you should play it. As you can see, it actually clears this map very fluidly. So let's talk about the plus side. With min-max gear, I'm talking min-max. I'm saying no room for error. It's not like my corpse explosion gear, which I had a few percents off of facets. This is basically perfect. Technically there's some res I'm missing, but I cheated and got it anyways. And it's, I'm missing some health from CTA buff. Don't worry about it. I'm sure it's going to make very little difference most of the time. With min-max gear, you can still play Poison in River of Blood. Why that's important is I don't think anyone would argue that the best map for both farming or experience is River of Blood. So even if you're not doing it for experience, you're just doing it to farm solo, I still think it's the best map. And, actually farming a map for experience solo as Poison Necro really wasn't that bad. You could actually gain experience half as fast as a P8 group just because you play so much better than, like anybody else in the game. So you could do sub-6s. This video shows that I think it's still possible to achieve a sub-6. My play isn't optimal, but I want to say this. I achieved a sub-7 on a map with worse mods than this when it comes to health and absorb and crap like that. And I did a sub-7 also playing suboptimally on Corpse Explosion. There's also another build we're designing, which hopefully I can get to testing. And I think min-maxed Corpse Explosion will be right behind Poison Necro. So that's the good side. There is a world where you can play Poison Necro the same way and still achieve the best single-player mapping times of any class or build in the game. The downside is this: you have no wiggle room. Right now I have perfect gear with perfect facets, and I do about 24,000 sheet damage. In Season 2, it was pretty easy to achieve 30,000. I think you could even give up a skill or a facet and still hit 30k. That's a pretty chunky nerf. That's a 20% nerf in one season. The reason they nerfed it is it's obviously the best solo mapping build in the game. The reason I don't necessarily agree with the nerfs is, as of now, they've just made it more expensive to build and gives you no variety as a player about how to build your spec. One of the coolest things about Poison Nova, and now that you can find this with Corpse Explosion, I want you to know this, is you could build your character in many ways and still accomplish the same task, which is a quick clear time on River of Blood. So CE used to be able to choose between FCR and FHR and FBR, more damage, or more magic find. As of now, you have basically no spare cores. Every single core and item has to be plus skills, plus damage, and then you hit your breakpoints as much as you can. For instance, you used to run 86, 86, FHR, FBR. I'm not running 86 FBR because I actually chose to run 75 FCR instead, because I knew that since technically maps are more dangerous now, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to run Bone Armor. That's my skill choice. Because you could always have like an extra skill choice as Poison Necro. I was like, I'm going to run Bone Armor. I'm going to run a 75 FCR. I'm going to get hit a little more often, but I'm going to get hit a little bit less. Because I'm saving 1 frame per cast, but, I'm taking 1 more frame whenever I block. Usually Poison Necros would go more block, but I actually think nowadays it might be better to go more FCR. It really doesn't matter. You could choose one of those two, you're going to be about this good. So since you can't choose gear, and you have to play with perfect gear, it just kind of puts this build in a weird spot where it's like, why would you ever make it? And basically it's kind of like this. Since Corpse Explosion is going to be the best mapping build once you get full trains and maybe a few skillers, it'll be quicker than summons pretty quickly. It might not be more, I don't want to say easy, because I don't like the way to describe summons like that. With worse gear, you're going to run into more mana issues. Basically, when you're worse off, you're going to be sacrificing something. You're going to be sacrificing more pot chugging, going slower through a map just by walking and not having blood warp. That's kind of what I get to. While with summons, there's basically ways to cheese all of that, mainly thanks to the fact that you can snapshot your summons. So you just, you stack your plus skill gear, and then you wear a whiz spike. And it's like, you're good to go, bro. Corpse Explosion isn't going to be quite that simple. But you will have a budget option. Poison doesn't. If you want to play budget Poison, you have to cast Desecrate. And I don't know if you've ever seen someone cast Desecrate. It's not a pretty sight. It has a tiny hitbox, and it also has a delay. If you want to clear maps with Desecrate, more power to you. So, in conclusion, I don't rank this build S rank. I rank it A+ or S-, and I rank Corpse Explosion as the new best mapping build for Necros. In my opinion, you have to run Bone Armor. You should probably run more FCR if you can. And in the end, it's like, what are you going to do while you're making it? Are you going to make CE and then just start stacking poison facets? Here's my take on it. I think the only reason this build makes sense anymore, because it's so limited in what it can accomplish and what it needs to function, it's basically only going to have two purposes. You're going to run Blood Moon until your eyes bleed, or you're going to play Corpse Explosion, and at the end of the season, you're going to throw away your extra runes on this build. Alright guys, Skeleton King out. GG.